never be satisfied with COVID really just taking that from the hip hop scene in Upstate. I will never ever forgive COVID for that. And I don't hope that doesn't sound...
Oh, you feel like it stopped the momentum?
What? And not to be disrespectful to anyone, you know, who lost people, you know, because some things are more important than hip hop, respectfully.
Right.
So I don't say that to be rude.
Right.
But when we just focus on the music, I mean, you just look at the, like I said, I mean, we already named some of the project, but the 38, 38 Laws of Powder, 38 Strategies of Raw. We look at, like I said, Plugs I Met. We look at, you know, The Breakup, which I think might have came after by Pretty Bully, and so many of the projects that came out. But, you know, what is it? Pray for Paris. And,
Pray for Paris was a big one.
The
Pray for
Drought,
Paris, also shout out to Billy Esco. That Pray for, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing because I should know the title for this, but everyone knows a track that has Billy Esco on it. Billy Esco, I don't know if you ever heard of Billy Esco. He is like, you know, really another trailblazer in Buffalo with the cafe, wearing his cafe merch. Everyone knows his cafe hats and his cafe gear. But him having that track with Tyler, the Creator on it, and Joey Badass on it, and Westside Gunn was like a huge moment.
327?
Yes, 327, that's what it was. 327. I cannot believe I did not know that. That's embarrassing.
No problem. There's a lot of great songs on here. This is one of
Cut
them
that
albums.
one out.
This is one of them albums.
No, you can leave it.
Yeah, where you could just listen to it, so I understand.
Yeah, so that was like a huge one for Buffalo because Billy Esco is well known in Buffalo. So hearing that track and hearing him on there, then hearing Joey Badass on there, then hearing Tyler on there is like, was bonkers. I know Buffalo was going crazy for a minute when that first joint dropped.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I look at it, I'm like, man, all this hard work that all of these, because, you know, Schondra, real quick, just to take it before we get into what you've done more recently. What I try to get people to understand is that, you know, up here in Buffalo, we are far away from really, I mean, what is it? Outside, even Albany is 3 hours. Albany's the closest out of the 4 major cities upstate, and they're even 3 hours away from New York City. Really 4. I think they're 3 hours away from the Bronx. So, you know, it's probably to get to Manhattan, it's probably like 4 or anywhere in Brooklyn or Queens. But, you know, labels ain't coming up here really looking for us.
Right.
You know, no disrespect to upstate, but, you know, we struggle. You know, when I went to Syracuse back in 2022, I remember an article came out and it said that Syracuse had the #1 child hunger rate in the country. Rochester.
That's crazy for me to, wow.
Yeah, 53% of the kids in Syracuse were hungry in 2022. I don't know if it's gotten any better or any worse, but according to that study. Oh my
goodness. I would never think Syracuse either. I mean, their sports, their communications, the
city of Syracuse, the school is phenomenal. The city of Syracuse is a very struggling city.
Wow.
Yeah, and no disrespect to anybody from Syracuse, but yes, the city of Syracuse struggles immensely.
Wow.
Yes, much like Rochester.
But I would say, like, you know, because there's sports and everything is so big, and then also so many, you know, major journalists and writers have come out of there. Yeah. You would think that they would be, you know, going back in there, or you would think all the support they get specifically for their sports and stuff, like that would funnel into, you know, supporting the community. But, you know, it doesn't always happen that way.
Certainly. So with that, Rochester, I think we're second. I think 49% of our kids are hungry.
Wow.
And then Buffalo, I think it was 6.
Wow.
So, you know, to say all that, and time out, actually, I got a 38 Special. He said this in a song. I forgot what song it was. He said that I'm from a city, or I'm from a place where there ain't no love and there's a whole lot of drugs. So upstate just struggles so much. Labels ain't really coming out here looking for talent. You know, the 5 boroughs, majority of them don't necessarily really claim us as New York or upstate. Right. You know, I remember when I went to college, I went to SUNY Oswego for my undergrad. They was like, oh yeah, they was like, what, you got cows in your backyard? Like, they think it's just all farmland. Yeah. So, you know, I thought that was funny. And yeah, so anyways, it ain't necessarily really the most desirable place in the world to live. And just to see all the hard work and all the collaboration and all the positive collaboration that came from a lot of, like, you know, like...
that narrative is changing, though. The last part when you were talking about how they don't consider upstate New York, or they don't
Yeah.
consider Buffalo, because Buffalo is really not upstate. Buffalo is Western New York.
Yeah.
But they don't consider it, New York. That narrative is starting to change now. That Griselda and
Yeah.
38 Special.
Everybody working with people.
Yeah, because now they realize, oh man, like there's a whole market out there of these, these type of artists that is kind of bringing the '90s sound back.
Certainly, even Static Selector was in Rochester, the DJ from Shade 45.
Yeah.
He was sorry, I didn't mean to just assume you didn't
Oh,
know that.
no,
My
go ahead.
apologies. He came up here a couple weeks ago to Turntable, and Static Selector said this. He was like, hey, I know I'm going to catch hell on social media, but he was like, man, I love Upstate. He was like, these are his words. He said, man, you motherfuckers love hip-hop more than anybody I've ever seen.
And that, to a certain degree, that's true.
Yeah, so, to hear him say that, I was like, wow. But anyways, because I kind of went off on a rant, just with everything that our cities have been through, whether Buffalo with the snowstorm a couple years ago, that claimed the lives of I think close to like 100 people.
Man.
When you look at the top shooting.
Yeah.
And
my goodness.
Yeah, you look at just so many of the things. DeMar Hamlin almost dying on the field. And so many other things that have gone on in Syracuse and in Albany. It was just like, man, like imagine if COVID didn't happen, what Upstate would have been able to do. Imagine how we would have been able to take off. Like imagine, what, the landscape of our hip hop culture and our hip hop market looks like. All these, because hip hop isn't a new thing to Upstate.
Yeah.
There used to be an event here called the Fresh Fest. And that was held in the 80s, and like all different types of acts, like hip hop acts in the 80s would come. I think Run DMC came up here. Rochester actually.
I was gonna say another thing too, like shout out to a lot of the I don't know if architects is the right word, but propagators that kept, Buffalo hip hop